I'm Rachel Beauchamp-Ferrero. I'm an occupational therapist here at Brookville Center for Children's Services at Post Avenue in Westbury. And I work with the preschool population. The children that come here have already had early intervention services, so they were identified with something that was going on with them before the age of 3. And a lot of times that can be not reaching some developmental milestones, not being able to use their hands together at midline to play with toys, or some kind of upper extremity weakness. For a lot of these kids that are here though, it's usually something to do with being able to self-regulate or modulate their response to sensory information from the environment. So you'll see children who are, quote, hyperactive, or children who are not able to calm themselves down, children who might be defensive to certain kinds of sensory input, whether it be touch or movement. Those kinds of challenges cause them to demonstrate behaviors. Maybe it's avoidance of play, avoidance of touch. It could be not being able to sleep, or maybe they're not able to tolerate certain kinds of food textures and things like that. Typically, OT comes in after the child gets evaluated by a psychologist and a special educator for those services first, and then they'll make a recommendation for an occupational therapy evaluation. So in the schools, a lot of times when a child's referred for occupational therapy, it will be because maybe they're using a very immature grasp pattern when they're playing with toys, or when they're using crayons or markers, or they're not able to figure out how to use scissors. That's where you'll start to see the teachers become aware that something's going on. They might ask me to come in and do a screening, and then at that point they'll write up a rationale for that child to get an occupational therapy evaluation, which will be done at another site. And then if the child's approved for services, then I would see them here for whatever they're approved for on their mandate, which would be either 1 to 2 times, sometimes 3 times a week for children who are especially needy. Typically what I will do is I will go to the classroom, pick them up, bring them here to the room, and then we'll start off with asking them, some of the children, how they're feeling, and they can check the feelings poster, tell me how they're feeling, and then depending on what they say, we'll talk about that. I'll try to get them to tell me why it is they're feeling the way that they're feeling, which sometimes some children can do and some children are not able to do that yet. I'll label how I'm feeling, talk about why I'm feeling that way, just to try to get them to start labeling and recognizing different emotions and reasons why you might be feeling that way. And then what I'll usually do is some kind of activity that incorporates the larger muscles of the body, or gives them some kind of sensory input that is designed to bring their arousal level or their activity level to a really optimal space for them to be learning. And so we'll start with some kind of movement. Maybe I have a chain here that I could suspend a swing from, and so the children might go on the swing just to kind of get them a little bit more alert and active. Or I have a trapeze swing that they can hang on to, and that will incorporate movement, plus it develops the core muscles of the body. Maybe we'll build a big block structure, and then they have to kick it down, so that also is strengthening the abdominal muscles because they have to lift up their legs and kick. It gives them a visual target to look at. So I'm trying to see how many different sensory systems I can incorporate into an activity and make it active for them, so it's not just me imposing treatment on them. I want them to be an active participant in the session. Zones of regulation is a curriculum that I became trained in last year. But what I really liked about the zones of regulation is it's very sensitive to helping the children understand that whatever they're feeling, that's okay. There's not any zone that is the best zone to be in, and that it's okay to be in any of these zones. The zones of regulation talks about colors of zones, and so there's a blue zone, a green zone, a yellow zone, and a red zone, and attaches emotions and feelings to each zone. So the blue zone is more of a zone where the children you might be tired, you might lack energy, or you might be feeling sick, or you might be feeling sad at that point. And then the green zone is, again, that relaxed, calm, ready to go, ready to learn state. And then your yellow zone might be a zone that's more appropriate for when they're on the playground, because they're really excited, they're running around, they're playing with their friends. It's not really the zone that would be appropriate to be in the classroom, to be running around and playing with your friends in the classroom, but it's okay for the playground. But it also has that bridge between to the red zone, where maybe they might be getting a little bit frustrated on the way to being angry. Maybe they might be getting a little bit too excited to the point of being in that red zone, out of control, or they might be feeling worried or anxious about something. And then the red zone would be that zone that the child will be angry, maybe furious at that point, out of control, wild, and really needing somebody to help them to calm and reduce that feeling, to make them a little bit more safe and to feel safe in their environment. And so what we're doing in the classroom is we're really trying to get the kids to start to label their emotions, figure out what those emotions are, how to talk about them, how to use their words to express it, and to help the teachers model those emotions for them. And just that constant repetition, incorporating it every day into the activities and the things that they're doing. Oh, it looks like you're in the blue zone right now. You might be a little tired. Let's go out, let's have a drink of water, or let's get up and do some stretching and moving to try to get into the green zone. Things like that. So we're trying to incorporate to really get these kids to feel more independent and being able to express what their needs and wants are about their emotions and their feelings. The teachers' feedback about the zones of regulation has been nothing but positive. They really, ever since I did the first in-service about it with them, they've really been excited about incorporating it into the classroom. And so the trick was just to make sure that we were making it developmentally appropriate for these kids. And the teachers have been great about coming up with their own ideas and activities, so that it's not just me coming in once a week and talking about it. They're really immersing it into every circle time, and so they're reading a lot of books. They do songs about feelings, and they're make these posters in the classroom where it's a visual representation of feelings for the kids. They're coming in every day, they're pointing to what their feelings are, how they're feeling at that moment, and then again later in the day. So it really gives them a sense of more control, and makes them feel, I think, really more confident about talking about those emotions and expressing it, and to feel more safe, that the teachers are able to understand and identify, especially for a lot of children that we have are nonverbal. Some children might have apraxia, and they're not able to use their words, and so having that visual for them to be able that they can just walk over and point to or show with their little arrow where they are has been really giving them more self-esteem and confidence in that area. Some tips and tricks have been incorporating a lot of sensory activities, which is another component of the program, that sensory piece that helps the kids to self-regulate. If the kids are looking a little lethargic and tired, get up and stretch and move, or if they're starting to maybe get a little out of control, to do some heavy work, which might be some pushing or pulling, or turn the lights down, maybe do some yoga, put on some quiet music, sit at the table, play with something like Play-Doh, something like that that's kind of gives them something to squish and hold and get a little bit of that energy out. And then to be in, when they get to that, if they get to that red zone, to show them that there's a safe space in each classroom where they can go and sit down on the couch or get into a little beanbag area, and they have sensory tools. They're like Heavy Herbert, which is the weighted doll, or they have fidgets or a weighted blanket that they can put on top of themselves to help them to calm down, to be able to get more regulated and move to a lower zone, a different zone. Parents can really incorporate it, use a lot of the same strategies that we're using in the classroom. I do help a lot of the parents with a sensory diet for their children, which is just a menu of activities that they can use at home, strategies that they can pull out at any time with the kids to help them to self-regulate at home and to start labeling and identifying their zones at home for how they're feeling, and using a lot of developmentally appropriate activities like television shows that they like to watch on PBS Kids, things like that, or books that they're reading, labeling the zones in there, pointing it out for them, labeling their own zones, again, just to try to automatically be able to express what their zones and what zone they're in and what feelings they're having. And then at some point, I'll be working with the parents to make their own kind of posters at home, depending on what what characters or things that the children might be involved, might be drawn to, whether it be Bluey or a Disney movie, where we can incorporate those characters for the different kinds of zones to just try to make it as developmentally appropriate and understandable for the kids as possible. My plan to grow the program is to eventually do a parent presentation about it so that the parents can really get some good strategies and a good understanding of the philosophy of the program, and get some really good strategies and tangible strategies that they can use at home. They have their own charts at home, and the whole family can use it. It's really something that's not just for their child. You know, everybody feels a little dysregulated at some times, and it's great for the entire family to be able to have this tool so that they can support each other in however they're feeling at that time and come up with strategies together about how to help each other. A dysregulated adult cannot help a dysregulated child, and so we really need to look at ourselves and what our emotions are, and to understand how our emotions and our own regulation has an effect on the children that we work with. And so they're very sensitive and they're very in tune to how we're feeling. And so if we are feeling sad or tired, or if we're feeling frustrated and irritated, we're not really in the best place to be able to help these children. And so we need to figure out what's going to regulate our own bodies, our own emotions, and then we can be able to deal with what's going on with this child, whether it be this child is out of control or frustrated, or maybe they just, hit you, to understand that it's not about you, it's about their feeling out of control, and you have to be the one to be like that solid object for them. And to be able to be that solid object, you have to be able to know how to regulate yourself, know what your limits are, and also to have that support of the other staff members to back you up, to take over for you if you need to take a break, and to have that back and forth with each other so that everybody, even the teachers, can feel safe and supported in the classroom, and then the children in turn will feel safe and supported. If anybody wants to reach out to me and we can talk about it, or I'm happy to do an in-service someplace else to talk about the program, or if other therapists are using it in different programs, maybe we can collaborate with each other about different activities and workshops, things like that, for the teachers or the parents, with activities for the kids as well.